Okay, welcome to Derp Talk with Sovek and friends, formerly the Derp with no name, which shall never be spoke of again. Only that there is a video available of it. That was a
The
horrible
best name.
experiment and failure.
Yes, it was.
So this is the official episode 1 of our various nerdy topic podcast, and what I mean by that is we'll pretty much talk about pretty much anything that comes to mind. We have a few name, which shall never be spoke of again. Pre-planned things, and I'm hearing myself. Only that there is a video available. Not muted. There we go. We have a few pre-planned things to kind of get the ball rolling, but if time demands it, we'll do more. So, without further ado, my co-hosts for this are Fluxen and Red Fox, Zahn when he's around, and anyone else who has any knowledge on any of the topics to be discussed on a given week. I fully intend to just pull people in who feel like they can hold a conversation with us on a given topic.
We're like a call-in show. Third caller gets Miley Cyrus tickets.
God, no. Why would you wish that on anyone?
It's to avoid getting a third caller.
Yes,
Or-
that's right.
Or to punish the third caller so that we may shame him endlessly for his tickets.
Should have been first. Now you get crap tickets.
Should have been first, motherfucker. Alright, I'm gonna do comments. As you can see on my stream, I am playing Civilization 4. That's because our first topic is Civilization. Because I like the Civilization games. I have found them fun. I've played 3, 4, 5, and the colonization game based on 4. That was a remake of Colonization. I also played the console one, which I actually really enjoyed, despite the fact it was a console strategy game.
Didn't we do this topic before, or am I not supposed to mention that?
We have done this topic before, but it was a really, really short-lived topic because it was just the two of us talking about it, and you'd only played Civ 5.
Well, then
Okay.
again, I've only played Civ 5 too.
Well, Zahn's played 4.
Great.
Zahn has played 4, so Zahn
Oh, well, that's good.
could test, and I'm actually playing the game on stream, which means I actually get to kind of show you and Fluxen what I mean, if any of you care to actually look when I talk about the differences.
Nah, your stream's boring.
In my humble opinion, and shut up, you son of a bitch, 4 is still the absolute best Civilization game. It just has the most stuff going for it. Yeah, I'll do random. Oh, ignore the name on the screen. That's totally not my real name.
It's actually Hernando.
not
It's
that
his
I
real
can-
name.
No, I'm the opposite of Fernando. Or Andre,
You can call him at 1-800-234-SEXY.
if only. Yeah,
That's sexy with a T, by
Sexy
the way.
with a T. I think 4 was the best Civ game in my opinion because I just feel like it had the most going for it. It had a really good religion system. You didn't get to customize a religion, but religion actually did something. And that it was a classical era replacement for the United Nations for the early game. If more than one civilization followed a particular religion as their state religion, and that religion was the dominant religion of whoever builds the Apostolic Palace Wonder, that triggers Apostolic Palace votes. Everyone who follows the religion of whoever built it gets the vote. And you can't win the game off an Apostolic Palace vote, but you get to do some cool things. Like, just make people stop being at war with you because you're the goddamn Pope. Which is great for trolling, because the votes are about every 10 years or so. So roughly every 10 turns. I'm playing as Russia, that's good. Roughly every 10 turns it goes through, so what you can do is if you know a vote's coming up, you start a war, you take a city, and then you immediately vote to end the war. This only works if they follow the same religion and they're also a voting member. But it lets you troll the fuck out of other people in your religion. Another thing I liked was the units all look different until about the industrial era, I think, is when they start changing. Depending on what part of the world they're from. Asian units look Asian. Native American units look Native American. European units look European, so on and so forth. Kind of hard to tell because I'm actually playing a European country right now, but were I playing a different country, my workers would look different, my scouts would look different. Every class up until riflemen would look different than a different civilization from another part of the world, geographically speaking, in historical sense.
That's kind of
And
neat, actually.
I found that incredibly neat. And Civ 5 rather, didn't do that. And I always thought, why the fuck not?
Because it costs money to do that.
Exactly.
Everything must be generic.
Which is also why they got rid of unit stacking, because they didn't want to have to process as many units on the screen at once. Unit
Uh,
stacking, unit stacking, I enjoyed as a thing.
unit stacking also allowed you to create just a giant ball, so there could also be
It
gameplay reasons to disallow it.
it does if you're ridiculously high production. That doesn't usually happen till late game, and by then you've pretty much crushed your enemies and major allies. Another interesting thing is you eventually unlock the ability to make people, um, what do they call it in Civ 4? Let me pull up my Civilopedia and go to the, I think it'll be under game concepts.
Hello, Mr. Solomon.
Yeah, vassal states. You can turn people into vassal states. If they are weak and you are strong, they may come to you and ask this. They will offer themselves to you as a vassal. By default, it lasts 10 turns. For those 10 turns, they kind of count as your part of your empire. Their
Actually, cool.
their money, science, and everything else counts toward your money, science, and everything else. In exchange, you've promised to protect them if someone goes to war with them, and they have to go to war with you to go to war with them, as long as you're their vassal. Which is great because that overrides the AIs being stupid. Because under normal circumstances, if you're a vassal, they'd still attack the thing you're sworn to defend because it's weak. But by eliminating the ability to even declare war in that state, they have to actually want to declare war with you if they want to attack them, because they count as being you. Which means if you're strong, they're going to leave you and your vassal alone. The vassal state also goes one step further. You can, as a demand at the end of, as a term for peace in a war, demand capitulation. Capitulation is a permanent vassal status. If they capitulate to you, they are eternally your vassal until they get wiped out as a civilization, which can usually only happen if someone declares war on you, because the game prevents you from declaring war on your own vassals.
Right.
I also think vassals count toward various objectives for beating the game, such as conquered conquered lands and total land owned for like getting the victory based on having like so much percentage of the world. I think if they're a permanent vassal, they count toward that, which was an interesting thing. And that's just some of the stuff I liked about Civ 4 that Civ 5 just decided to move away from. So was the idea of built-in mods. Sid Meier liked a bunch of the mods in the mod community and just made them standard in Civ 4. It just came with mods. One of them actually turns it into a Space Marine turn-based fucking squad game. It's kind of derp, but kind of fun at the same time. There's another one that basically turns it to civilization in space, where you colonize planets instead of cities, and they basically replace most tiles with space tiles, which basically count as blank ocean tiles. And then occasionally there's asteroid tiles, which count as your resource tiles and things like that. And there's all sorts of different mods and scenarios and stuff. I mean, I played a really, really good mod a while back that was a historical reenactment of World War II from either the European or the Pacific theater. And you could choose your starting year based on either when America came into the war for both theaters, or unique to the European theater was just when the war actually first broke out, where Germany first declares war. Um, I just found that really fun, and the scenarios in Civ 5 frankly kind of suck. So, yeah, I do not like playing the
Except for the
scenarios.
steampunk one. The steampunk one's kind of cool.
Steampunk one's kind of cool, but I never played around with it too much. There's
Oh,
also an
it's amazing.
RPG mod, and that comes with Civ 4. I think it comes with Beyond the Sword. It's a continuation of a series of mods that's been included in expansion packs, where you're in this realm and you actually have to like do RPG like decisions for your burgeoning people as you try and destroy the god of ice who has blanketed the world in an ice age, while fighting his off his followers who decided that they just want to murder the fuck out of you for wanting to get rid of the eternal ice age.
Oh, it's a little too tad chilly for everyone, I guess.
Yeah. In fact, the longer the Ice Age goes on, the more chances that you'll just be murdered the hell out of. And that's really my thoughts on Civ 4. There's a lot of other things like about Civ 4, but this isn't a podcast about getting really too in depth into things all the time. Civ 5, I enjoyed. I know you guys didn't play Civ 5.
Yeah,
I,
I'm
I,
done.
asked,
I played Civ 5.
I
I
asked
played a
Flux
little
about
Civ
this
5.
last time. I know Red Fox prefers America.
Yeah.
Um, who do you prefer, Zon, in Civ 5?
In Civ 5, ooh, that's a hard one. Um, I would either say Japan or Korea.
Interesting.
They're usually the ones I do really good at.
I'm a bit partial to bigger ones like Rome and Russia myself. It's because I miss the older Civ games where they didn't care if your civilization was just really, really, really massive. As long as you had the ability to support the financial cost of your buildings in your settlements, you could have an empire as big as you goddamn wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It it was entirely possible to completely settle an entire continent square for square. And I really liked that as a concept. Also, you could take advantage of resources that weren't in your city's workable area, which is something I feel 5 at first didn't really take advantage of. And then I think in one of the expansion packs they bug fixed that in or just patched that in as a thing where if you build a road to a resource, you start getting that resource again. I believe in vanilla there was issues with that where it didn't work and people were like, why the fuck not? Why do I have to build next to the fucking dyes to get the fucking dyes? Why can't I just build a road to them? Which brings me to a moment. Just the one thing I like about Civ 3. I don't really want to say too much on it. Civ 3 is very bare bones and basic, and there's not much you can say. But it had one really cool concept: outposts. Workers could build outposts on resources outside your territory, and as long as that outpost was connected by a road, you had that resource. But you also had the station troops on that outpost because anyone who lands on that outpost square can just take it over. And it doesn't count as an act of war.
Which is amazing.
It basically counts as an undefended settler. It's like, oh, you should have defended it. Well, you son of a bitch, you took my settler.
Yeah.
And that's just some of the things I like about Civ. Anyone else want to share what they like about Civ?
What I like about Civ. What I really like about Civ 4, and I wish they had in Civ 5, whenever you finish a wonder and you get that amazing little short clip of the wonder being built, planned, and all that nice stuff.
Oh yeah, I love that. It shows you a little video of the wonder being built. It starts out as like a blueprint, and then like the building comes off of the blueprint and scaffolding, and like you start watching it get built as it slowly turns into the actual building from the drawing.
Mm-hmm.
That and the Great Wall isn't stupid because they didn't use hex-based grids in Civ 4, so the Great Wall could actually like curve properly over large empires instead of make weird hexagons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always found that a little derp in 5.
Yeah, because it basically snaps the grid to the edges of the hexagons, whereas in 4 they used circles for the squares.
Yeah. Also, the Great Wall ends at the ocean.
Yes, the Great Wall does not actually run along the coast. If it encounters a coastline, it stops and
Well,
doesn't.
I kind of found that to be a little derp at times, especially if it comes across a river.
Yeah, it'll still cross rivers in Civ 4, but if it runs into like an ocean tile coast or a coast tile coast, it will stop at the tile it hits and basically what it
Okay.
looks like it does is it like runs down to the beach, and then until the next border tile that isn't completely surrounded by ocean, the wall will pick up again. And so what you'll end up having is if you're a coastal empire, the Great Wall will basically take the form of a giant horseshoe that goes from one end of your empire's coast around the inland side of your empire back to the far side of the coast.
I don't know that I kind of like the idea of having the Great Wall along the coastline to protect against seaborne invaders.
Yeah, but then you run into the issue of how the fuck are my boats actually getting through here?
Yeah.
Gates.
And also how close the Great Wall is to the ocean. I don't think sand is a very stable ground.
Yeah. Although they usually use
It's
people as
perfect, you
mortar,
dolt.
so, you know.
It makes perfect sandcastles, and sandcastles are awesome, yo.
All it takes is one little bit of water and it'd be boop.
Yeah.
Stop
think
crushing my dreams.
I don't remember if Civ 5 let you do this. Civ 4 let you pass diagonally through mountains in the right situations where there was like there was the whole concept of mountain passes.
You know, there's not. I don't think there's any opportunity for that to happen because usually the mountains are always in. You know,
Yeah,
they're usually up or down.
because what happens with 4 is mountains can run diagonally, and if they run diagonal and there isn't a mountain in an L shape where there's 2 mountains, like there's a mountain in one square, then diagonal is a mountain in another square. Along the diagonal between those 2 mountains, you can cross the mountains. Oh, another thing 5 took away. Rivers counting as roads. If you have sailing, coasts and rivers count as roads for connecting your cities.
Which should make sense. Like, isn't that how the whole
But that's why
Nile
people.
River works?
That's how ancient civilizations founded themselves along rivers and coastlines, and
The
didn't
source
really
of
go.
fresh.
They didn't go inland until much later
Yeah.
in the evolution of civilization.
Yep. Source of fresh water. Good way to get trade goods up and down the river.
Yeah, rivers were great because they were faster than roads. And that was just one of the things that Civ 5 took out. That was just like, why did you take that out? It makes perfect sense, and it makes playing the game a little easier because it makes rivers strategic for more than just defense.
You know, I was wondering about that because not having played 4, I always thought that was weird that they didn't have that in 5.
Yeah, I believe Civ 3 does the same thing. If you have the sailing technology, rivers count as roads. And as same thing, coastlines count as roads. All coastal cities are connected by the coastline without the need of roads.
They
So,
kind of
yeah.
they kind of have that in 4 with harbors.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Yeah, in three you had to build. Yeah, in 3 for coast you had to build harbors, but for rivers it just counted as a road if you had sailing. And then in 4 they decided sailing just made all form of water count as a road for connecting your cities. Because
Which,
they figure sailing a river and sailing the ocean and sailing the coastline are essentially the same goddamn thing
yeah,
for the
it's just
purpose
a
of
little.
how that technology works. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Skip.
I did like that 5 kind of did more with leaders. 4 kind of neat. With the expansion packs, certain civilizations got multiple leaders because the expansion pack had their own versions of that civilization. Um, but the way it worked is there was basically a pool of attributes that leaders had, and for every combination of 2 attributes, there was a leader.
Yeah.
And so a lot of leaders felt very samey because they often shared one of their attributes with another leader that would be on in the game. They didn't necessarily share them with a lot of people, unless you just got a lot of bad luck and like everyone in your game is imperialistic or everyone's protective. And while I like the bonuses that they provide, it kind of makes people feel samey because if you have like 3 protective people on the same game, they're all going to play exactly the same. They're all going to try and consolidate their forces and their borders because they get bonuses to defending their cities. Because
Yeah.
that's how protective works. In your own borders, you get defenses to doing things
And
with
so
military units.
and then in the end, like you said, each leader kind of becomes a little flavorless.
Yeah, and then in 5, every leader has a completely unique ability, and I like that about 5.
Yeah. Some good, some not so great.
3 worked the same as 4, only with a much, much smaller pool of leaders. and I believe I really want to say that it was kind of similar in the console version, except everyone only had one attribute. And so there were a couple people who kind of felt like they were duplicated. Like there were two people who were financial. But
Yeah.
they also, on top of that, I think got unique bonuses all their own. So it was kind of a blending of the two.
Yeah.
And that's really all I can think of on Civ, unless Red Fox and Flux want to say anything.
Any questions?
America, fuck yeah.
America, fuck yeah.
No,
I'll...
seriously,
Buying up
I like
territory because it's
America's
really
land
super
grab
cheap.
ability a lot.
Yeah, except while they do have a nice land grab, I prefer the shoehorns instant cities getting just bigger areas to start
Yeah.
with.
The who?
The Shahone.
The Shahone, yeah.
Not the shoehorns?
I always call them the shoehorns.
I think that's horribly insensitive.
Racist. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh no, sorry, I have cousins who are native, so it can't be racist.
No,
I
wait,
have
no,
cousins,
he's
and I
excused.
know
Flux
they're
said he has
shoehorns.
cousins.
I go up to them and say, "How you doing, my shoehorn?" They don't look at me very angrily and say, "Give us back our land, white person."
Well, because no one likes you.
They don't just break out into an angry chorus from Spirit Horse of the Cherokee.
Or from Pocahontas.
I fucking love that song from Pocahontas. Savages, savage. Sometimes I listen to that when I'm playing Civilization as the Native Americans.
Yeah.
That may be horrible of me, but no more horrible than the fact that one of the pre-named cities in Civilization 4 for the Native Americans is Poverty Point.
That's
Eh,
terrible.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
actually historical.
yeah, no, because all the names for Native American cities in Civilization 4 are the names of the reservations they were forced to live on.
Oh, that's terrible.
None
Yeah.
of them are the names that they gave their own things, except for like the starting place, which is like wherever Sitting Bull's tribe started.
Yeah.
And then the rest of
Oh.
them are all fucking reservation names. And I'm just like, this is horrible. And yet hilarious.
Yep. You can't pull any punches in this game.
Oh, let's see. That's really all I can think of on Civilization. So,
Yeah.
what topic
Yeah.
do we all want to go on next? We have a few pre-planned topics. Maybe someone wants to go off on just some random tangent.
What do you know about opera, Sovek?
I like Phantom of the Opera, but that's not a true opera.
What do you think about Macbeth?
Fuck you, you know my opinion on Macbeth.
I gave you a week to learn up on it. Now
No,
go.
no, fuck Macbeth and fuck the horse he rides in on in the first act.
All I know is that every time someone says Macbeth in a
See,
theater, someone dies.
My experience with Macbeth, and I do know a little Macbeth, but this is kind of stupid. My experience of Macbeth is the Jimmy Neutron episode where they do Macbeth in space.
All I know is that when they were asking to be or not to be, they were talking about if the bell was tubular or not.
In writing, what deserves to
Pro tip for anyone: if you want to see a shortened Macbeth, look up
Which may or
Lion
may not
King.
even be Macbeth.
Yeah, Macbeth was essentially Lion King, and vice
Just
versa.
watch the Lion King. That's just the shortened version of it. Or what's the Japanese one with the white lion? Kimba or something?
Kimba the White Lion?
Yeah.
Really Macbeth at all. It's my poachers killed my daddy. Now I'm gonna go murder the fuck out of these poachers.
Yeah, something like that.
Only he
Macbeth-y.
doesn't murder the fuck out of the poachers because he's friendly for kids. Instead, he just goes around defending the savannah because he's Kimba the White Lion.
Yeah, and then he summons the giant trees to come in, and then all the poachers kill themselves.
No, he doesn't.
Trying
I
to bring
don't know.
trying to bring some
I've never
culture into this
watched it.
podcast, and you guys have just fucked that.
Hey, I brought culture. I mentioned Kimba the White Lion.
Yeah, that's plenty. That's as much culture as we need.
Kimba the
Let's
White
bring some
Or,
culture.
you know, if you want me to bring in some more culture, I found a game that shouldn't be on Steam.
Well, no, there's no reason for it not to be on Steam, technically. It's just
Eh.
Steam's own arbitrary decision not to ban it, even though they arbitrarily decided to ban everything else like it.
So I peruse a website called Steam Gifts because people like to give away gift keys for Steam, and it's a contest website. You put in your name for it, and it's a raffle, and you have a very tiny chance of winning anything. But I kept seeing this game called Sakura Spirit, just kind of popping up once in a while. So finally, out of curiosity, I checked the store page. First thing I get told, I have it to my birthday. I'm going, okay. I don't know why I have to do that. Then I am immediately drawn to this nice little notice. This game includes nudity and explicit sexual dialogue. Yeah, I look at the tags. The tags are kawaii, fan service, visual novel, and anime. Then I look at the pictures. It's your standard visual novel, H-game type crap that you've seen everywhere. But it wasn't. That wasn't the thing that really got me. Because I checked Kotaku after I visited the store page while I was looking, dual monitoring, looking at things. So I came across the most helpful customer reviews while looking at Kotaku. Kotaku's nice little blurb for the review they had on this game was, "My friend got me this game, I swear," which happens to be the most popular, most helpful comment about the game. This person has 488 hours of playing this game on record. I found out that if you take your time and read everything very slowly, you take 2 hours playing this game. And it's not even a game, because you only have one choice at the very end to choose who you're with.
It's a graphic novel.
It's a graphic novel about an hour, 2 hours long. Number one comment, the guy has played it for almost 500 hours. Yeah. The reviews, though, are beautiful. Boobs made me buy this game. 10 out of 10.
That's a good review.
What the hell are you playing? My roommate who walked on me while playing Sakura Spirit. 11 out of 10.
I am the Lord
11 out of 10.
Thou shalt have no other
Here's some
Oh,
negative
man.
reviews, though. There's no touch fluffy tail option.
I don't like that there's no touch fluffy tail option.
Touch fluffy tail option. Actually, one of the most helpful ones that I think were helpful, and it's only the second most helpful, not recommended one. A link to Galburo with tags of fox ears and large breasts. There you go, money saved.
That, as a side note, for those wondering about the whole mountain thing, this is how mountain crossing works. I have just crossed a mountain back and forth.
Yay, mountain cross. And
But,
then another comment, of course, says, "Dog, this game not flowers at all."
Alrighty then. Just
Well,
a side.
Sakura is a flower in the
Fair
Japanese
enough.
language.
Fair enough. Just a side note, this episode will probably be a little short. I have been informed while you were speaking that there's the offer of pancakes in the kitchen. So I'm probably only going to run for another 15-20 minutes before my desire for pancakes overrides my desire for podcast.
Have you no integrity with your podcast? Sovek?
Not when it comes to pancakes, Fluxed. Pancakes overrides my integrity for podcast.
No integrity.
Pancakes and pizza will overrule
question is,
podcast.
do you like waffles?
I could actually take or leave waffles. I'm not overly fond of waffles.
But it's the same fucking thing.
I'm the opposite. I love waffles.
I
care for pancakes.
I find that waffles don't cook the way I like more often than not, so I don't really like them. And incidentally, I would just like to say something to you all. If your friend thinks they're smart and mention that onions are the only food that make you cry, throw a coconut at their face and see what happens. I would like to thank my fiance for that. She was showing me something funny that had pretty much that exact caption.
So how about that Naruto, Sovek?
Oh, god damn it. Okay, right now, spoiler alerts. If you care at all about not being spoiled on the story of Naruto for whatever bizarre reason, go away for like the next 5-10 minutes or maybe just go away for the rest of this podcast. I have no idea how long we're going to be on this.
Dumbledore is Vader's father.
Indeed, Dumbledore is in fact Vader's father. My god, Fluxed this week was stupid. It was one of the most boring chapters we've had, and I read last week's chapter.
Last week's chapter was only good because of the possibility that Kakashi might have died now that he's useless.
Yeah, only we had to immediately snatch that away. Kakashi can't die even though he's now completely useless. And then we have Obito dying. And my first thought was, are we going to make Kakashi useless in a really stupid bit of, we're just going to give him back his Sharingan plus the other one that Obito had? Which thankfully did not come true. That would have been incredibly stupid, and I would have yelled bullshit at my computer in the middle of watching Ghostbusters while that was happening. But we did get another stupid thing instead. Obito saying that the reason he turned good is he respects Naruto's unchanging ninja way. If you've watched at least 2 to 3 arcs of Naruto, you know he changes his fucking ninja way speech every single time he gives that goddamn speech, and that it's never the same thing, not even in spirit. He
Yeah,
changes.
even in just the anime of pre-Shippuden, he changes it constantly.
Oh yeah, it's whatever fits the situation. It is completely stupid, retarded, and hilarious, and I just yeah. Yeah, so this is what turned Obito good, and we're supposed to feel bad for Obito, even though he's killed thousands, if not millions, at this point. I feel no remorse at his passing whatsoever. My only hope now is that apparently we've now shown that Zetsu can come out of that sleeve he's hiding in Fluxin. My only hope now is that at some point we pull Zetsu out of the sleeve, kill Zetsu, and that just makes Kaguya go cry in the corner.
It turns out there actually was no Kaguya. It's just a skin puppet that Zetsu's been wearing.
I still want to go with the
style.
opinion that it's Madara all along, because I still think in that one shot, even though I know it's not true, there was a shot last week of the Sage talking to the resurrected Hokages about everything that's going on, bringing them up to speed off camera essentially. And there's Madara's severed lower body, but you don't see his upper body anywhere. And there's the Sage floating in midair. I know he's supposed to be cross-legged because that's how he appeared to Naruto, but it looks like he's just a floating torso. So in the back of my mind, I'm hoping this is all some bullshit thing where just like a half torso floating Madara is just fucking with everyone at this point, just because he's bored and wants to fuck with his new god powers. Because that to me would just be hilarious. Yeah, Naruto's been stupid for a while. For those who don't know, we've been in like what, the third, if not fourth year of this stupid war arc now.
And this is just the manga.
Yeah,
And
this is
Anime
just the
is gonna
manga.
take another 7
And
probably.
recently, we just like a few months ago, is the first time we saw anything other than gray barrens for our fighting area.
Yeah, we've basically been fighting on like this barren wasteland adjacent to a beach the entire time this war's been going on. And now all of a
So it
sudden,
takes the Dragon Ball Z route of doing
it
things.
took the Dragon Ball Z route of war.
Yeah, but Dragon Ball Z, there's one big difference. Dragon Ball Z used the lack of having to draw backgrounds to make the characters and attacks more interesting. This doesn't.
No, not the
It's the
slightest.
exact same. Just now we have no background to look at.
Yeah, and our characters are still no more interesting than they were after we started getting shit characters. Which,
Bring back 1010 to be useless again.
oh yeah, we have some strong words to say about Tenten's uselessness and her not being killed during a certain crucial point.
That's so like they brought her back and showed that she might have the way to get rid of
Oh,
Madara,
that's right.
but that was a complete red herring to make her still useless.
Tenten is like, I think I know what to do, and then she immediately gets caught in the fucking Genjutsu. No, there was a point where Naruto put each of his classmates into one of the Nine Tails' Nine Tails, and gave them a special nine-tailed Rasengan that he would then catapult them using a flick of the tails toward his opponent with. The problem that Kishi encountered with this idea is there's 10 classmates.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had to go to even out the numbers on the booking. And instead of killing Tenten, who was offered no contribution whatsoever to the entirety of Naruto except making Tamari look like a threat in the fucking Chunin exams, which even then I say is kind of bullshit because she didn't even put up enough of a fight to even make it look like Tamari was all that threatening, is to kill Neji.
Who had so much character growth, development.
Neji had
Amazing.
Neji had a whole thing going for him. And Neji's death has essentially just kind of been forgotten at this point by like everybody. And it was just so Kishi could do a really cool 2-page spread. I don't even have words for how angry that made me when I read that chapter. Like, I thought that Neji's death would lead to something, like, interesting, because, I mean, if you're gonna kill Neji for a good goddamn reason. I thought we were maybe gonna start getting some decent character growth and character arcs going from the death of Neji, like we saw when Asuma died. No, it was just to set up for a fucking 2-page spread a year and a half later. And I know that was
Neji
planned.
again?
I know that was Neji's the
I was making a
Hyuga
joke.
clan person. I'm still gonna say that for those who don't know.
I know.
Neji is a Hyuga clan member of the branch family of the Hyuga clan, which in Naruto is established that they get these death brands on their heads where they could just at will, the head branch could just murder somebody with one of these things using this brand on their head.
That nobody has still not done anything about after 2 years of it being revealed.
No, and
Yeah.
at the time it was acceptable because we had established at that point in Naruto that the ninja world was a dark place where the lines between good and evil were very blurred. There was a lot that you had to do to protect your village. Having a death brand on your head, while extreme, at the time was acceptable because the Leaf Village was still in that gray area where, yeah, they're the good guys, but they're just as underhanded and ninja-like as the other villages. And then we threw that out the window, and it hasn't been addressed since that whole thing's been thrown out the window. We've since gone to ninjas are happy fun time, and the good guys are super good, happy, good paragons of goodness. And yet we have this whole
Lots of good.
yeah, we need to put more goods into that. But since we've established that it's all goody, we've never once addressed the fact that we've essentially enslaved an entire branch of a family with death brands.
There needs to be a big nasty ninja war of people who wants to bring back the old ways. Oh wait, weren't you talking about that?
No, actually the war is about the opposite.
Words have the power.
Madara has a really stupid, convoluted, evil plan for undoing the old ways by putting everyone in an eternal genjutsu and making them live in an illusion lie, so that everyone could be happy and peaceful while living this lie until their bodies give out.
Which can work if it's established for a good reason for the character. Like fucking Symphonia did it amazingly. This does not do it well.
No, there is really no good justification for Madara's logic. But Madara, like, skips, like, the 5 steps that should have led up to this decision and just jumps straight to mass mind control.
Yep.
Like, it's established. He doesn't like how his clan was being treated when the Leaf was founded. And instead of doing something practical and sane about it, he just immediately jumps to, clearly my only solution is to brainwash everyone on the planet with a giant genjutsu.
Mm-hmm. Then it turns out his reasoning was false because apparently Zetsu changed the tablet.
Yeah,
So,
Zetsu
fuck his
changed the
character
tablet,
development.
which is apparently just the Deus Ex Machina of the Uchiha clan.
Zetsu was behind everything all along. It was always Zetsu. There's never not been Zetsu.
Zetsu is to Naruto as Aizen is to Bleach, and we are very, very upset about this. Because unlike Aizen, where you could kind of believe the bullshit up to the last minute, this has absolutely no grounds in believability from the get-go.
That Aizen arc. God damn it, that was annoying.
Yeah. Picture the entire concept of Aizen, only with absolutely no build-up or lead-to whatsoever. Just Aizen... Or character.
Yeah, Zetsu has no character.
Zetsu has no character whatsoever. The first time we'd even heard Zetsu have a personality is when he was just like, surprise, I'm the villain. It's like, what?
And who are you? And why should we care?
Aren't you that dude that Obito hung out with when he was recovering? And that we cloned a million times to make cannon fodder shock troops? How are you
poop?
that can't poop? For some reason that was a big character thing with the flashbacks between him and Obito. That he doesn't have a digestive system, so the concept of poop amuses him. That apparently had to be his whole character. And then he's supposed to be the villain.
Jokes.
Poop jokes, yeah.
Damn it.
But yeah, picture the Aizen arc. If Aizen just showed up at the beginning of the arc and immediately said, surprise, I'm the villain, and did all of his big mastermind reveal bullshit in the first 5 seconds that he showed up. There was no No lead up whatsoever of who he was. Just have it be Aizen is suddenly turns out to betray the Soul Society, and as he's betraying Soul Society, reveals his entire Grand Master plan. And that's the Zetsu reveal in a nutshell. And all of its
Really
bullshit
fucking
glory.
stupid.
It is incredibly fucking stupid. And that's where we are at Naruto right now. If you've been covering your ears, you can uncover them now, because there's really not much else I can say on Naruto that wasn't covered in episode 0. Let's
Best
see.
episode.
The best episode, apparently, according to some. Let me check how long. We've been recording for 40 minutes. Yes,
Those
Beck. That
pancakes
is
calling
exactly
to
what
you.
he is. Yeah, the pancakes are calling to me. We've been recording for 40 minutes, so let's do one more quick topic, and I think we'll end on only having done 4 real topics today. What topic shall we end on, gentlemen? What comes to mind? Nothing comes to mind? How about air pirates? Do you like...
how not to do podcasts like last week?
Oh yeah, that's what we should end this on. How not to do podcasts. We'll save Skies of Arcadia for later. Last week, Red Fox was not around. I was impatient because I wanted to get my streaming done early and done with, because I had other things I wanted to do at my evening.
That's funny.
And so Flux and I decided, against all better judgment and reason, that the time had come for us to just try it without him. We'd be 2-man this podcast. The result was meandering derp, as the two of us just kind of agreed in 2 words or less with pretty much everything else the other said, followed by long pauses of what I could only imagine was us nodding in agreement at each other in unison from across the internet. as we stroke our collective beards and chins, and just like, yes, I agree.
That's what you get for taking too long to get started, and then when you finally get started, I'm unavailable.
Well, last week I couldn't help it. There were issues with the
There
scheduling.
were timing issues, yes, which happened.
Indeed, it happens. So, yeah, how not to do a podcast. Do not go into it with 2 people who know exactly equal things about everything that's being discussed, and exactly matching opinions, because they'll just sit there and agree with each other, and with long awkward pauses while they try and figure out what they're going to talk about now, because they've had absolutely no discussion whatsoever. Always have a third wheel.
Yes, in podcasts, third wheel is actually a good thing.
Third wheel is your friend.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
But yeah, other things not to do when doing a podcast. Don't have technical difficulties.
Or fail to plug.
Tends to help.
Or fail to plug. Another thing that happened last week was I was streaming League of Legends while we were talking, and apparently for most of the last match that I did, for like the better part of, I think, 30 to 40 minutes, apparently my stream was blackened. No one told me until like 20 minutes before I ended. Apparently the first match was fully recorded. I did go back and check. For whatever reason, it decided not to capture the game window when the second match started, which led to derp. And there was an instance of me building a wonder in the video playing, for those who wondered about how that looked. In fact, that was actually the Great Wall, so actually I can show off while we're here about how the Great Wall works.
Yay.
Yeah, if you'll see here, the Great Wall, it runs along these mountains, and then stops, because coastline. And then it picks up again, because coastline, and stops. And then up here it starts at the coast, goes up along my northern border, and then stops at the coast. And I like that, because it will build multiple walls as needed to fill your borders. And there's like a little mini wall just for this barbarian encampment. Don't they feel special?
Yeah.
They have their own little wall that says "keep the fuck out." Because I believe this is the one that says no barb. This game is one of the ones where the wall just means no barbarians in your thing. Let me see.
Which is not
Wonders.
nearly as cool as a ability as the one in Civ 5. I like the fact that units can only move 1 tile.
It's also not nearly as amazing as Revolution, the console version, where in the console game when you build the wall, everyone just stops being at war with you.
They're just like, no.
Early game is the ultimate, oh my god, I'm at war with too many people, I fucked up thing to build, because once you build it, everyone has to make peace with you.
This guy must know
Um,
what he's doing.
the Great Wall.
Do you see the size of this thing?
Yep.
It's huge.
Yeah, the Great Wall in this game prevents barbarians from entering your border on the same continent it's built. It gives you a plus 100% chance of great generals inside your borders. Cities are more likely to make great spies. And if you have stone, the production speed doubles, because that was another thing. I don't think Civ 5 does this. Every wonder has a resource that it's made out of. If
Yeah,
you
I don't
have
remember
this,
that being in 5.
okay, yeah, because if you have this resource, it takes half as much time to build.
If you have marble, all wonders are reduced by so much.
Is that how 5 works?
Yeah, if you have working marble.
Okay.
So if you're Egyptian with marble, you just like don't even bother building a wonder anymore.
Yeah, and
For anyone
for
else.
it's key. Like the Eiffel Tower, you need iron. Um, the Colossus uses copper.
Bronze. Oh,
Well, in this game, it
fine.
uses copper because copper and iron are both resources in this game. And that's how the game works. If you have the material that it's made out of, and it's connected to your city that's building it, it takes it's 50% reduction in build speed. And that's really all I think we had time for today. Pancakes are indeed calling. Not just to myself, but to others.
What about pirates, Sovek?
We will
Pirates.
we will discuss pirates next week.
No.
I can
Pirates.
actually make notes for pirates next week because I didn't make notes for pirates this week. So I hope people enjoyed. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I think I'll play this particular game of Civ 4 for a while in the background of this podcast. I hope people enjoyed. Again, I am Sovek. My co-hosts today have been Red Fox, Flux, and Zahn. And I'm going to try and not fuck up the plugs this time, as I did when we were recording another podcast earlier off stream. Obviously, this is my stream here at twitch.tv/SovekOnivris. Red Fox has his stream, twitch.tv/redfox_nightfox. Got it right that time. And then twitch.bahuja, twitch.tv/Fluxen for a Flux. If you're listening to this live, you can find a recorded version of this, other podcasts, and some of my backlog of highlights and archives at youtube.com/SovekOnivris. And if you liked what you heard and you want to support the stream and the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/SovekOnivris and just give a little and help us out, and we'll keep this fun going. And from all of us here, goodbye. Hope you enjoyed. And this is me trying to find the stop streaming button.